happen 30 years in the future? All these people are going to be retired. Would you do it? No. You do it when it's fairly close and when you have no choice. And when the CIA and NSA did that, they did it because they had no choice. And you're going to lose some of your best people. The best people in the organization are going to be within 5 to 10 years of retiring and probably eligible to retire already. And they're going to say, the hell with you and your company, I'm out of here. You're going to lose your best
if they
people.
get word. So they're going to prevent the public, obviously, from learning about this until when? At the point where people can see it in the sky?
I had to think of, 3 years ago, last month, 3 years ago, July, I was awarded the Prague Peace Prize in Prague, Czech Republic about this work. So I'm talking to the sponsor, who, by the way, is a personal family friend of the Nobel family. That's where she got the idea for the Prague Peace Prize. And she asked me, she says, John, what did you think when you found out about this and you found out the government was not going to notify people? And I said, well, doctor, I was very upset. I was very sad that the government was not going to notify people about what's going to happen. And I felt that way for quite a few years, until I looked at it more closely and thought about it in greater detail. When I came to the conclusion, the following, Mike: the safe areas, which include the Arkansas, Missouri, Ozarks, and a couple other places, there's no housing support system for 330 million people, and there's not going to be.
No.
It's simply not going to happen. So you're left, if you're in charge, you're left with two choices. You let people live a somewhat normal life and have employment, start families, have children, and live their lives, or you warn them ahead of time and cause needless suffering, needless pain, and advanced death of people who are going to die anyway. That's the two choices. As hard as they are, that there's no third choice. That third choice doesn't exist. So unfortunately, right. What about what?
I'm sorry. Well, what about the theory that these COVID lockdowns, which have been really weaponized and pushed aggressively, are in fact, I mean, this is a theory that's out there, that we're being locked down for something else, not COVID-19, like
you
something
should
else.
mention that. There's an article, a 19-page article I wrote in 2006 at my free download my paper at my website at thelibertyman.com. It's titled "No Need for Panic," which is a direct quote, by the way, from a government insider. And there, it's on page 2 or page 3, discussing how can we get people to stay in their homes voluntarily without being forced to. And I state in my paper that a biological virus disease of some sort would give people the impression that if they remain in their homes, they would be safe, and it won't take the government forcing them to stay there. They'll be doing it on their own. And so I wrote that in 2006. It began as a private communication for my kid brother and my brother-in-law, knowing two things. First of all, it was the right thing to do. Second of all, they would not pay heed, but I did it anyway. And then I decided to go ahead and go public with it. So I wrote that 14 years ago, Mike. And so that's my conclusion. It's basically the same as what you were prognosticating just a moment ago.
So essentially, they've condemned billions of people to die, and knowing that some number will survive, but they can't.
80% of the people on this planet, there's over 7 billion people, 80% live within 100 miles of an ocean somewhere.
Oh my, that's true. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the effects. I mean, not only do we have the ocean water inundation, the high winds you already mentioned, fire probably in many places. I mean, some of this, by the way, seems to be described in the book of Revelation, you know, a mountain of fire plunging into the ocean, things like that. What effects physically would this set off across the world as this massive pole shift takes place?
Well, in my paper, No Need for Panic, I include a photocopy of one page from a book written by Immanuel Velikovsky. And Mike, it may be one of the scariest single pages you will ever read in your life. Velikovsky was a medical doctor and amateur archaeologist. He did something no professional archaeologist had bothered to do. And if you want to compare ancient events in different continents, North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Northern Europe. You can't compare ancient events until you reconcile the calendars first. It can't be done. And that's what Velikovsky did. He reconciled the ancient calendars left behind by people in South America, Northern Europe, the Sinai Desert, and China. I'll give you a crystal clear example from the book of Isaiah. In the book of Isaiah, the Hebrew army needs, another 3 hours of daylight to win their battle. And they got it. They got the extra hours they needed to win that battle. So Velikovsky looked at the globe and he thought the following, and we know the date of that battle, by the way. It's in the Bible, if you're a Bible historian. And he said to himself, the sun didn't go down over the Sinai Peninsula when it was supposed to for a good 3 hours. Therefore, it could not have come up over China for 3 hours when it was supposed to the following day. And Mike, it did not. The Chinese had calendars. They left written records. You can imagine being a big shot in China and the sun doesn't come up for 3 days or 3 hours. You would say to the scribes, hey guys, this is pretty important. We need to make a record of this.
Yeah, that's a big deal because it implies that the Earth's rotation or something has changed in the cosmos.
In the one page that Velikovsky mentions, what he did as an amateur archaeologist, he went around to sites where, for example, caves. In these caves, this was only in the 1940s, 1950s, not all that long ago, he found the bones of animals. Now, the animals didn't just lay down and die. The bones of the animals were all jumbled together as if they were pushed by a great force. He believes it was water. I happen to concur with him. It's mainstream archaeology to dig down, and this is not exactly a secret, to dig down in Alaska through the permafrost and dig up tropical plants. Anybody can do that. You get a plane ticket